Hi everyone, I'm going to show you everything I pack for when I go to dinner parties as a private chef. So it's actually a lot of stuff because I've run into situations where a client's home does not have everything that I need to use. So I'm left with having to carry a lot of tools and stuff like that to every single event. However, if I go to clients' homes that I go to regularly, I do not bring all of this stuff. I usually just bring my knife bag. But going into new situations and not knowing exactly what the home or rental property has, I do bring along all of this stuff. So getting started with my knife roll. I'm not sure where this bag is from because someone got it for me. And then I have this protective cover on it that's attached to the bag, but then I also have a napkin on there just as another form of protection. Is not really necessary. Starting off, I have my chef's knife. Then I also bring along another chef's knife for my sous chef in case they do not have one. And then this one I keep in a cover because it is extremely sharp and I've cut my hand on it multiple times. It's a Japanese chef's knife and I use this mostly if I'm going to be cutting fish and really want precision cuts for slightly larger items. I have my boning knife, paring knife. This is my favorite bread knife. Carving knife, culinary scissors, super helpful to have really sharp ones, peeler, oyster knife, honing, thermometer, fork for roast, tweezers for plating, and then in this little bag pouch that I have is some smaller items, a digital thermometer, which I prefer because it's a lot faster, and then I can use it for anything, and then fish tweezers for bones, Sharpie. A lot of chefs' knife bags are very catered to them, so they're all different, but these are the items that I felt like are necessary to pack with me in my knife bag that are fairly universal, and I haven't had the need to include anything else. All right, so that's just my knife roll. And then on to everything else. Another thing that I bring with me a lot to dinner parties is if I'm specifically making like filet mignon or a steak or something that I really want to make sure I have the temperature correctly, I have this digital thermometer that actually can go in the oven and stay in there, and it's Bluetooth to my phone, and it will update me on the temperature when it's close to being in range of where I want it to be at. So this is called a Meat Stick V or 5. And then I bring this sometimes, not all the time, depends on what I'm cooking. So in my first bag, I load this one up like super full. I will mostly put my ingredients in there, like pantry staples and stuff like that. It's similar to a Hulkin bag, but I got it for like 25 or 30 bucks at Costco. So it's a little bit of like a dupe. And then in this first pouch, it's a little bit miscellaneous. I have another Sharpie, a pen, Post-its in case I need to write some like reheating instructions, another scissor, some Scotch tape to close up packages or possibly write on it. And then I actually have floral tape. This is a little bit random, but when I do a lot of cakes, I'll use flowers and then put this on the stem so that the flower isn't directly on the cake in case if it's not necessarily edible. Protects the fluids a little bit more. So I keep that on me with some cakes. And then this is my smallish first aid kit. So most of the staples of what like a first aid kit would have, except I do have a lot of these little finger thingies. If I just have a cut on one finger, I don't necessarily want to use like an entire glove because then it needs to keep changing out, and then I can just quickly change that with these ones, and it's a lot easier. Just like the typical Band-Aid, triple antibiotic, some extra gloves, stuff mostly for smaller cuts and not large things. This is a little bit of a miscellaneous bin. It's mostly the tools that I've needed throughout some dinners. So like a whisk, spatula, surprisingly, like a lot of homes do not have rubber spatulas. This is my favorite OXO microplane. It works really well. You can get them in the full size or there's like a half size, and they are super sharp. lemon juicer. Yes, you can just like use your hand, but this is way easier, especially in a rush and you're doing lots of lemons and stuff like that. So it makes it super fast. And then not a lot of homes have these. Fish spatula, but I pretty much use this for steak or literally anything. Can opener. This lighter is actually a torch lighter, so it works really, really well. Measuring cups, little tongs for like appetizers or plating, stuff like that. A little thingy. Bottle opener. A lot of my clients actually steal these to use, so I get them back. My Cunel spoon, I do not go anywhere without this. I always bring along some like cleaning products with me because some homes actually don't have like some sponges if it's like an Airbnb property. Sometimes they don't stock it very well, so then I bring a couple extra. So this one works really well to get some like of the Teffer stuff, steel wool for some stainless steel, and then a Swedish towel because I don't like using paper towels to like clean up some little messes and stuff like that. It's a little bit more sustainable. Measuring. And then this is literally just a plastic tub that I have. So then I kind of just put them back in upright. I don't necessarily want to carry like an entire kitchen with me everywhere I go, but it is necessary sometimes. And I actually have come in a situation before where the home didn't have extra garbage bags, so then I always bring just like one more just in case. And then I have two different gloves. One that is a larger size and like fairly thin. This is like when I'm really in a rush and like cannot get the other glove on me, but then these are, I have so many of them. And then this is mostly my go-to, like a basic food glove, and then they're tighter around your hand. So actually, I don't think I necessarily need this, but my dad thought I should bring them with me to dinners just in case, like a little bit of a liability, but it's a fire blanket. Then I also always bring some dish soap and some multi-surface cleaner. I never know if people will have extra dish soap, so I always just kind of carry it around. And then with the cleaner, I don't necessarily always use it, but it's just nice to have in case they don't have any, and just to clean up the table when I'm done. And then I also always pack with me parchment paper, cling wrap, and aluminum foil. All right, so that's it with the black bag, and then I will rearrange it to my other tote if I have like a lot of ingredients and pantry ones to fit in there. And then I'll put like my towels and stuff like that on top. I bring some cutting boards and then some extra sheet trays. These are quite large. The dimensions, I'm not entirely sure. I think it's around 20 inches. And then they're really nice and pretty to have and use. They're clean, and then they fit in most ovens, so that's why I like them. And then I'll put any tools that I need, large tools like a food processor or like potato ricer, the sheet trays, the cutting boards, and I'll fit them all in this collapsible tote bin that I also got from Costco, and it was like 30 bucks or something like that. And that will hold all of my hard tools. And then on top of all of this, I will bring my groceries, towels, my aprons, menu cards that I have for the table, other miscellaneous stuff that I might need. Sometimes I will pack some candles if it's their birthday, aprons for me and my sous chef, and then that's pretty much everything that I pack. It's quite a lot, and then it fits it all in my car. And that's everything that I bring to dinner parties with my knife bag and some tools that I pack along. So let me know if you found this useful and if there's other videos similar to this that you want to see.